So I'm not live. Hooray. I am live. I'm not late to the live, is what I was trying to say. And I chose to start a little bit earlier just so I could get done with sending all this stuff to everyone that I wanted to, or that I have been requested to, before really diving into things. So, we have decided that we're going to talk about narcissists today and narcissistic traits that you can have and not necessarily even notice that they're narcissistic in any way. So, lots of fun stuff is going to be had. And then I know I have been with more than enough narcissists in my life. And I have different coping mechanisms, different things that they've all taught me, because it can be really damaging to someone, especially if you're in a relationship, a romantic relationship with this person. And once you get out of it, it's really hard to not internalize it and take it all upon yourself, like it's all your fault. And I myself have never really liked saying those types of things about people because I like to always see the good in them, no matter what. So, almost done, guys. Sorry. And we kind of got a late go, mostly because we went to the skate park and had some fun, and then we decided to be nasty slob people and go to McDonald's. That's ultimately why I thought I was going to be late.
I'll die happy.
Because, yeah, they screw up like I do, always. Oh, Bruce is over here throwing stuff. Oh, prop man's on it. I didn't even have to ask. Love it.
I'm not a prop man. I'm a stage tech.
That's whatever I say. Riker. Okay. Alright, more of my focus, promise. Hopefully that extends to him. I lied for a moment. Anyway, so narcissistic behavior is something that I've come across more times than I've probably realized. And in the past few years, I've noticed just how much I keep reoccurring with this interaction and these types of people because I continuously kept trying to hold on to the decency that I saw in them.
Well, also you start to believe it.
Yeah, you start to feel like...
You start dating somebody, and every single day, whenever something goes wrong, there's always a reason why it's your fault. Your fault. This is all your fault, and I'm going to make it about you, even though I'm frustrated about a bunch of other stuff that I don't want to talk about.
Yeah, like, the blame can always be put back onto you, and I have a hard time doing that in all situations, in all of my life. And being with so many narcissists and just constantly feeling like it's the truth, like, it's hard to not feel like I'm bringing this in on some level. And in recognizing those traits in certain situations that have come across our path recently, we see a lot of these narcissistic traits from past negative points in our lives, and we get to see how some of those traits are mirrored in people that we love very dearly, and it hurts. And so we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit, and just how easy it is not to see that in ourselves. And being honest with yourself is one of the hardest things to do. But once you get to that point and you can really open your eye,
it's a lot easier if you have a support system. You're very, very unlikely to, all on your own, just start realizing that it's not all about you. Especially like if you're in a toxic household, or if everything, a lot of times when something goes wrong, we just think of like, oh, that one name must have been them. You can't really get out of that or escape that unless you either dig deep and try to stand up for yourself and actually find that self-worth and everything inside of you. But it helps if there's like a support system there to reassure you, like, hey, don't worry, you're not
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, and we all are a little crazy in our own ways, I guess, but there's different levels and different things that are okay. Ooh.
Another thing that will happen, subconscious narcissistic behavior. You're sitting there telling a story like, oh my goodness, the greatest thing happened today. I was, walking down the street and I saw like a $20 bill or something like that. And then like when the comment, whatever you're excited about, whenever the reply is some kind of one-upsmanship or a intention to manipulate the conversation onto that individual, it's like, yeah, oh, that's great that something happened to you, but let's like, oh my gosh, this thing that I did, there's always
let's bring
reason.
This back to me.
There's always something better. There's always an accomplishment that, oh, I did it better. I did it better than you. Whatever you did, whatever you have to be happy about, I've actually done better than that, and I'm actually happier than you.
Even though I don't seem like it. Because anytime something goes wrong, it's all suddenly anyone else's fault but their own.
The focus just needs to be on them. If it's either why you were wrong and they were right, or why it was your fault and they are what would you say, infallible.
I could see that.
The mindset of being infallible.
I also feel like even after you're able to get away from that type of situation, if you can somehow figure out a way to bring it to that person's attention in a are you serious? I can't tell you how disrespectful I think that is.
Oh,
I really can't. Like, I'm 100% so sad right now.
But it's your fault. Oh boy. Well, what was meant to be a playful joke apparently I crossed the line. have a feeling I'm not going to hear the end of this for the rest of the night. I love you. I'm sorry. She's going to get me, Riker.
Don't even think about taking my spot. So now I'm going to explain why I feel that is a disrespectful thing to do, because not very something that most would understand. In my head, it's spitting on me. So you're ultimately spitting on me, and I find that extremely disrespectful, which it's a trauma response from being spit on as a girl, being told that I was trash, and I was nothing more than that trash. So being spit on in any way like that, I go back to a trauma response, and it kind of goes hand in hand with these narcissists that we were talking about.
I thought maybe it would be playful and I could lick it off you.
Yeah, again, not something he even knew was a thing with me.
How's it going, Riker?
Riker would really like to go to the bathroom.
Well, then he should say something.
So, anyhow, Diane, it's really good to see you. It's been a very long time. For me, every narcissistic relationship I kept finding myself in, anytime I would finally be able to get away from the rerun of problems, I always was able to blame myself and say, well, you should have done this, or you should have done that, or you should have said this, or you should have tried this. Like, with any narcissist, if you don't let them see it to where they can actually see it on every level, it'll never get through, because it's all about them. And it's really hard to get through to that type of person. But it's worth it if you ever can.
Let's see. What's a good female narcissist example?
What do you mean a good female narcissist?
I don't know, like a stereotype example? Some kind of analogy, perhaps?
I suck at analogies. You're the analogy guy.
You know what?
What?
I don't know. That's why I was asking if you knew.
Riker? Do you guys know of any analogies that he's talking about? Because I'm not really sure.
You've never had a narcissistic tendency?
Of course I've had plenty.
Okay, well, what's wrong?
I always have the tendency of focusing on the dark, no matter what. I can always see the bad, the ugly, and how it could have gone differently.
That
but it's
wouldn't be. No, I wouldn't call that narcissism. Okay. That would be negativity, maybe, but not exactly narcissism. I'm talking an instance where it became about you when it otherwise wouldn't have been. Something where you... I'm not, by the way, I'm not trying to point to a particular example. I'm just trying to help.
Jog my brain.
I don't know. I can't think of an example either. Otherwise, I would just throw it in your face, just like I did with the Slurpee.
I try really hard not to be too narcissistic, but I don't know.
Subtle narcissistic tendencies. You're running out of steam, hon.
Damn. This week has been really rough, guys. I'm sorry. I'm tired. I want to go take a nap. Ow. My back's been hurting a lot. I've been trying to go to the gym more. Haven't been able to go much this week because my back keeps seizing up. But I guess one of the narcissistic traits I have is with my dissociation. I have difficulties really understanding that people can have gone through so many similar things like me. And so, I don't know, I guess that's slightly narcissistic.
I would say it's narcissistic when, like, let's say, well, like the other, I don't want to use this as an example. The other day we came home, I went to bed, and I didn't say anything. I just went upstairs, I collapsed on the bed, and I couldn't really hear anything, and I was just trying to, like, pass out, take a nap real quick. I was exhausted. I didn't think to let her know. So she's calling to me. I can't hear. And then instead of even just, like, you know, walking over and seeing what's up and saying, like, hi, can you hear me or something, she stewed as if I was stewing being mad at her. But it was about her. This thing that I just did was about her in this instance because I didn't say something. So she got lost down that thought path of, you know, why is he mad? Why wouldn't he tell me? He's just ignoring me. All this stuff, just toxic. And then she finds out that, like, I just passed out and I couldn't hear you, and I'm sorry, but I would say that it would be maybe subconsciously narcissistic on that level when you don't even think that it could be something else. You're so sure in your mind that it's something negative, then it would have been bad, and you're so right that you don't even want to take a couple steps over to see if you're wrong, because, you know, then you might, like, lose.
Because you should know me well enough.
Yeah, that's good.
You should know my triggers, all of them.
Oh yeah. How about getting upset with people for using words because we choose to be offended by them?
Yeah, words.
Would that be a narcissistic tendency? You're not allowed to say that word because it hurts my feelings when those particular syllables and sounds are created with the human mouth and spouted out of your freaking face.
Your mouth flaps.
Mouth flaps. Meat hole.
Your meat hole mouth flap.
I don't know. I find offensive language completely ridiculous. I think it's just like...
We can all get offended.
What are you trying to censor here? You're literally choosing to be upset because, like, different swear words in different languages, if you don't know to be offended by it, the word doesn't do anything to you. Like, I'm still not going to, just to be nice, but, you know.
It's just a word.
I never understood that. That whole just don't get me started on that nonsense. Fall down the freaking Christianity black hole. Doing as you're told.
So, yeah.
In this particular instance, you're told not to tell, not to say. Not these words. All words are okay to utter except for these few. All fruit is okay to try except that one.
So Lori is saying sometimes triggers aren't heard. And that's completely true. Just kind of like him triggering me with the slushy incident just a minute ago. He had no idea what was happening or why or what even, like, caused it.
If we weren't on video, it might have even exploded into a big old fight thing. But
whatever.
That usually doesn't happen. It's usually just kind of that transaction that you saw.
Exactly what just happened.
Yeah. Well, damn, I didn't know. I literally was just, I don't know.
Trying to be a goof and spit.
Yeah!
Like, I don't even remember
there
what
was
I was
no
talking
spit.
about.
It was slushy in the straw.
Anyways. I don't really know where else to take this since we're not getting much of your guys' involvement. And
that's the worst.
I see you all here. I see you being here.
Say words. You. I wonder. Yeah. Straw vision. Okay.
And this is what happens when you don't talk. Hopefully the rest of this week and this weekend won't be as crazy as this weekend was, so I can be a little bit more involving.
And some examples and some analogies.
Because, yeah, like I said, this week I didn't do a lot of my involvement posts, and it was kind of, my attention was elsewhere, so I do apologize for that. But if any of you need help with ways to cope, ways to get through things, let us know. I'm glad to talk. I'm glad to give you any resources that I have, so on and so forth. Zach,
toilet paper have to spare.
No idea what you're saying why for. Why what? I don't know. Anyhow, so we're going to sign off. Love you guys very much. We will talk soon.
Next week will be better.
It better be better.
Better butter.
Better butter bitter. Bitter batter butter boo.
I don't want any bitter butter better.
But why, boo?
Because.
Bad boo.
Bitch.